true men.
We're so fortunate. Look, I'll try to explain this as simply as I can. The only reason people are not looking to Islam is because the way people have been introduced to religion is through a religion which did not make any sense, particularly Christianity as mentioned in the Holy Quran. Modern day Christianity, not the version that Jesus Christ presented. Right? Due to modern day Christianity, eventually people moved away from religion, and those who judge Islam judge it on the basis of Christianity. But if there's any self-help book which is worth reading,
it has to be the Quran.
It's the Quran, right? It is Islam. And, well, it's interesting because, we're talking about men, right? And specifically being mentioned in the Holy Quran, right? God Almighty mentions men even further in the Holy Quran, right? And, particularly what's said about men, again, rijalun, men, right? God Almighty says, rijalun yuhibbuna an yatatahharu. Wallahu yuhibbul mutatahhirin. Men are they who have this desire and passion to purify themselves. What does that mean? Ultimately, what it means is that you're constantly on a journey to be better. You're refining.
Yeah.
You're curating your personality, right? If it be your health, if it be your wealth, it doesn't matter.
And
particularly
dress
your spirituality.
sense, it could be.
Absolutely.
Could this also include, like you as a man taking care of yourself? Like in your dress sense, wearing perfumes, making sure your hair's combed, brushing your teeth. Like these aren't feminine things, right?
What does the Holy Quran say? What does the Holy Prophet ﷺ say? The Holy Quran says, خُذْ زِينَتَكُمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ مَسْجَدٍ. When you're going to the mosque, make sure you are in your dressed best. Literally, خُذْ زِينَتَكُمْ. Right? Adorn yourself. عِنْدَ كُلِّ مَسْجِدٍ. When you are near a mosque. Right? What did the Holy Prophet say? On a Friday when you come for Jummah, take a shower, comb your hair, put some perfume on, put some good clothes on. Obviously. Right?
So, like, these things, like to the younger boys watching, this is what... So, traditionally how perhaps in our community, in the South Asian community, we're taught that branding the latest fashion or doing your hair a certain way is seen as too modern, and this is not us and this is not Islam. Those false sort of parallels are made. But then Islam in itself tells you that as a man you should, dress nicely. As a man you should wear perfumes. Like all these things that adorn yourselves.
Yeah,
so this comes under
masculinity
for a Muslim man.
Yeah, well, what did the Holy Prophet say? The Holy Prophet said, if you're a man, if you can, you should grow your beard.
Yep.
But you shouldn't just grow your beard. You should also, he says, kasru shawarib, right? Which is, you should have a mustache. But you know how some men, when they have a mustache, they don't groom it.
Food goes into it, and
they don't groom it properly.
Yep.
And then you've got all this hair over your lips.
Yep.
He's like, no, it should be well groomed. You should look presentable, right? So Islam, the Holy Quran, the Holy Prophet presents so many guidelines to men on what is appropriate, what is wholesome, what is nice. I'll give you two more examples from the Holy Quran where men are specifically mentioned. All right. الرجال قوامون على النساء. Men are protectors of women. Right? A man should ensure that he protects a woman, but in particularly his wife. And his mother and his sister, etc. But in particular,
his wife.
So
on this, I do want to ask a couple lead-on questions because they're really important to men of this age. We see with the rise of social media influencers, particularly who are female, and they kind of almost want to be at the equal of men in the sense that I want to be the provider of the house. You as the man don't need to protect me. I can kind of go out and do what I want, and you're insecure for kind of calling me out to say I'm going out too much or I'm doing this too much. Could you give us an Islamic perspective on that?
I'll tell you what I tell people during marriage counseling. We're so fortunate. We've got a system of the Jamaat, right? And within our system, we've got so many different opportunities to be educated, to raise our awareness, to ensure that things don't go wrong. So, for example, marriage counseling happens before any marriage is performed, right? Because the divorce rates are alarming right now. So our beloved Huzur had instructed that marriage counseling must take place and certain things need to be explained, certain questions need to be elaborated, right, etc., etc. So one thing that I particularly try to touch upon there, right, is that if you will in any way move slightly away from the Islamic principles, write this down. And I always challenge the couples that come in. You can write this down today and you'll remember me tomorrow.
So even the audience can write this down today.
Well, pretty much. That if you go even the slightest away from Islamic principles, you're going to put yourself in a very difficult situation, right? Because the Islamic principles are designed by God, are dictated by God, and they are closest to you as your human nature. And look, maybe we can put a contemporary swing to this, right? Just so you can really appreciate what that means, right? For the longest time, people were like, you know what? Drinking alcohol is fine, as long as you do it in a controlled way, as long as you're balanced and well measured. You know what most people are saying now? Those who are at least healthy and fit.
Don't drink alcohol.
Don't drink alcohol. Why?
Drink water. Stay away from alcohol.
Stay away from alcohol and just don't put yourself in a position where you're going to end up drinking.
Yep.
Right? What do the fitness coaches say? Don't keep any carbs and snacks in your home, because if you have that impulse in front of you, you're going to do it.
You will do it.
Right? So what I'm saying is that ultimately there are certain things which are ingrained in us as part of our human nature. If you're going to try and go against the grain, you're going to fall into trouble. So what does Islam recommend? For the management of the household, the man should earn.
Yep.
The man should provide shelter, food, and clothing to the wife. And provide an atmosphere. But that doesn't mean, and this is what needs to be clarified. This is what needs to be clarified properly. And that doesn't detract anything from the woman. See, this is what I was trying to explain in the camp.
Yep.
Right? I was saying that you're looking at it wrong. When we say that a man should protect and provide for a woman, that doesn't mean that you should objectify and you think that she's your property. No.
Yeah. And that's like, we're not saying that she's not capable of protecting herself.
Not at all. What we're saying is that I value you so highly, and I understand that your role is actually far more important than mine. There's another thing that I sometimes try to say. We've got a system of murabbiyan in our jamaat, right? Missionaries. Murabbi is someone who morally trains you. There is no better murabbi than a mother, right?
Yeah.
So we value your role so much, right, that we need to ensure that you can do it comfortably and peacefully without having to run out into the world and, with the sweat of your brow and try to earn money just so we have food on the table and a shelter over our head. Right? If that's not practicality, then what on earth is it? What on earth is it?
Yeah.
Right? So here when it said الرجال قوامون على النساء, what's being said is no, it's not that, you're trying to offend women. No. We're just trying to make your life easy.